Chief, or Mr. Chairman. Chief, yesterday we discussed, and I may have been a little bit harsh about the congregating on the street, but in Europe, were you down there Saturday night?
Not Saturday night, but Friday night.
So from what you're getting from your officers on the street on Saturday night, I'm sure that y'all briefed on it. Was there there's a certain amount of occupancy that can happen on that rooftop.
Yes.
Did the music and the level of the music contribute to the congregation on the street, in your officer's opinion?
I would have to say yes, it was. The time that I have been down there, it was quite obvious to me that in the distance, people could hear and enjoy the entertainment and did not have any intent whatsoever with patronizing any of the businesses. Just they were able to party on the parking lots.
So it would make, I was kind of hard yesterday whenever I said, it's our responsibility because they're congregating on the street. This noise ordinance would help you to be able to do your job to disperse the crowds before they get too large.
Absolutely. This year alone, 2023, SPD had responded to 473 calls for services within that 4-block area of where the entertainment is located. And I can give you specifics about what blocks and each street that is coming from, but if you would center Texas Street and Spring Street and go a block either way, that amounts to 473 calls for services this year alone.
In that one block, or two blocks?
That is correct. And, the thing about it, we look at all the demands for service, and many of them are not specific to a specific business. People out on the streets, out on the sidewalks, don't know the address of any of the businesses, but they'll see the sign that gives them an idea, the 400 block, 200 blocks, so generally that's what they call in. But 473 responses this year alone, I would say, is a little bit excessive for the area.
Well, I'm for giving you, and I've said this over and over again, and I think we've all said this, that we'll give the police department whatever they need to fight crime. If this is a tool that you need and you feel like you need it now, then I'm for not postponing it. That's just what my thought is after hearing from the residents of downtown and the business owners from downtown, and Liz, who was speaking more as a resident, as the DDA director. I just think that I don't know how we can tweak this anymore and be able to still enforce it. And at some point, you're going to have to start enforcing the one on the books, or we can enforce this new one, which I think is more favorable to the businesses.
I've been down there several times, have had the opportunity to meet with some of the businesses' managers and the owners, and without this ordinance not knowing specifics, I've tried to mediate. I've taken people out to where I think halfway between your business, and say, be reasonable. If I can hear your sound at this point, then you're too loud. If I can hear yours at this point, let's try to work together. And obviously that has not had much effect. I've walked around to all of the establishments pretty much down there, and the ones where the entertainment, the music is being played from the inside, not a problem. None of them whatsoever. You get a few feet outside the businesses and you can't tell what's going on inside. It's just that which is played outside that resonates throughout the downtown area. And I'm not just talking about the one block where they located, blocks and blocks and blocks away.
Because there's a minimum occupancy of those buildings, and if there's a lot of people down there, then they have to go to the street, basically, because they can't get on top of the building or in the building or outside, whatever. So there's only one place to go, and that's to congregate on the street.
As a matter of fact, many of my officers told me that Saturday night, many were outside that had no intent to purpose to patronize the building, but were perched and looking up at the entertainment or listening to it as it occurs.
I think to a certain extent this is more of a public safety emergency And I'm not for delaying this. I would prefer us to go ahead and vote for it, but, that's just my preference.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief Modern Tech. I appreciate you bringing the statistics of the calls for service. What is the average call for service year to date in that particular square block area that you just cited? I mean, do you have that? If you don't, that's fine. It's just no. I know the number. I was looking for the actual call for service.
On Texas Street, one block west of Spring Street, 161 calls this year. On Spring Street, just south of Texas Street, 44 calls. At the very intersection of Texas and Spring Street, 71 calls. Texas Street east of Spring Street, 66 calls. And Spring Street north of Texas Street, 131 calls.
And do you have any information on exactly what calls they were? Were they loitering? Was it loud music? Were there disturbances? Do you have any kind of data on that? Just an
Everything
average.
that you can imagine.
Okay. So just general calls for service
That's
regarding
correct.
the whole gamut.
Everything that you can imagine.
Thank you, sir.
And I don't have it here with me today for the past, well, yes, I do. Following the shooting that occurred, we managed to deploy extra people in that area, nearly some 16 or so officers each Friday and Saturday night. And for the first 8 weeks of that operation, just in the downtown area, 53 felony arrests were made, 96 misdemeanor arrests, nearly 400 traffic stops, took several juveniles into custody for being out after curfew, executed 56 warrants, seized 27 illegally possessed weapons, and the narcotics that were seized is too much for me to talk about, but quite a bit of narcotics was seized. Wrote 93 parking tickets. So SPD has been very aggressive in enforcing the laws that we could in that area, because that's what the community asks for. But in order to go further, this ordinance would strengthen what we can do.